Afternoon. It is August the 17th, 2 p.m. in the afternoon. I wanted to do a catch-up video. I wrote out this blog post, I think it was yesterday, NFTs, nano transactions and inclusion, open source audience. I feel like we've got to a point with microtransaction, nano transaction, as in small payment blockchains, that the whole world of advertising and marketing is rapidly going to change because of it. It's a lot easier to use than, say, something like Google AdSense and campaigns or Facebook. And it's interesting how NFTs and blockchain and these fast blockchains that have like low transaction costs are really kind of taking off. So I wanted to do a little bit about it, even though I've seen it on Twitch and TikTok, and it's probably been spoken to death already. I kind of wanted to cover two particular areas, and I've wrote more out than I actually have planned the video recording. So two things I want to talk, two events that happened over the weekend that I want to talk about: the Tory Lanez 1 million copies, and BitcoinSV and their Poo Poo Festival or Pew Pew Festival. So I'm going to get into that. First thing is this guy called Tory Lanez sold 1 million copies of his NFT album in under a minute. Now, we know NFTs are blowing up left, right and center. There is, for me, a kind of weird inclusion thing with that. It seems to be people who have a lot of money or have a lot of ETH or a lot of just funds, or have created a little cartel almost of people who are buying cheap and then selling it for a lot more expensive later on. But what I like about this story is even though he issued 1 million copies of his NFT album, you could buy, I think you could buy up to 100 copies. So if they're $1 each, you could spend up to $100. And what's interesting about this is not only the speed of it, but the knock-on effects, the ramifications of this. And I want to get into it right across the board, right up until, you know, RIAA certification, the recording industry of America, and how this kind of disrupts a lot of things all at once. So first things first, when you think of NFTs, normally people have spent a lot of money to buy an NFT and then they flip it maybe a couple of days later, a week later, a month later, and make a hell of a lot of money on it. Beeple obviously sold his whole works, and it all went through effectively a centralized exchange, which was Sotheby's, right? A lot of people know Sotheby's in London. Massive amount of money, so that instantly puts the eyeballs on NFTs, and people are like, oh wow, I can make a lot of money here. But there is an inclusion thing there, and there is also a gas fee issue with the price of ETH. So there's a lot of other blockchains that are vying in this space to do that stuff cheaper, because they know there's a marketplace of people who want to create their art and they want to put it into digital format, and they wanted to sell it without any middleman. So there's a lot of things here, and I've put that into the blockchain. I put that into the blog post as well. A little bit about NFTs, costs and the middleman, inclusion and nano payments, trickling economy, streaming metaverse. You get a pew, as in like Oprah. A takeaway from it, and an activation of what you can do to get involved with this, just in case I miss out on any of those areas. So the interesting thing about this album is that, one, incredible inclusion, because he's selling it for just $1. You know, he's not charging like $10 or $15. There's no physical material object that you're getting. You're just getting the digital album, which I think was 7 tracks. I don't remember exactly, but yeah, 7 new songs and 7 art pieces exclusively by the NFT platform and app, which I don't know what that is. After the initial 1 million units, albums are only available if buyers resell their NFT rights. So you get rights to... You're basically a part producer, I guess, in the album. Now, what's interesting about this is that he sold 1 million copies of that NFT, made $1 million, and he did it all in under a minute. So you can see how fast and disruptive this is. From the point of view of an artist, not having to wait for something to happen, not having to go through a middleman, not having to have stock, material, physical copies going out to different places, in terms of smashing the idea of something like the certification recording industry. What does that mean for the recording industry? If, you know, going platinum, does that still have a place in the digital world, or are we going to reinvent that area as well, from centralized approach to a decentralized approach. So I was super excited to see this, one, because of the sheer speed of it. Literally somebody under a minute became a millionaire, but also the distribution of that for a relatively low fee. Now, all the maximalists of other blockchains here will just be arguing to death about how their blockchain is cheaper than another blockchain, and I get that. That's where the competition is to kind of do it faster and cheaper. Then you've got to build up the audience on these blockchains. So what you're ending up with is like 20 or 30 blockchains that are really low price, really fast, and so they're trying to build an ecosystem around those things to maintain them. I think it would be fair to say that ETH is going to be around probably for the long haul. Solana is probably going to be around for the long haul, and BSV is going to be around in the long haul. Those are the ones that I kind of see right now. There's obviously other ones as well, but these are the ones that I'm kind of playing with. So this got my attention because I love the idea of microtransaction, small transactions, small cost, inclusion, and cutting out the middleman, and speed, right? Like it just disrupts so many different areas when you're talking about sharing digital content that you've made online, music that you've made online, art that you've made online, not having to hold that stock, having a digital record in a digital wallet that says that you own a copy of it, proof, mathematical proof. That's the whole point of this blockchain technology, is to be able to prove that you have purchased it. And then obviously people who get a bit FOMO'd in after hearing about this news, maybe a week or two later, go and have a look at this because they want to have access to that so that they can be part of the cooling crowd. And obviously the price has gone up, so then you can resell that. And that's what the marketplace is right now. There's a lot of people buying cheap and selling high, and then buying into other things that have got, you know, good futures to them in maybe 6 months or a year's time. So that was really cool. I think this exists on OpenSea, which is a NFT marketplace, which, you know, you pay with Ethereum, ETH, the gas fees to be able to purchase those things. So you need ETH in a wallet to be able to do that. The second thing is BSV. I really want to talk about BSV more than this thing. I thought this was really interesting, from removing the middleman and you know, the low cost of inclusion on this NFT. But the real thing I want to talk about is the nano transactions on the BSV blockchain. And something happened over the weekend that I got really excited about. And these two things combine really, because they're all about low fees, faster market, and removing the middleman and including everybody. So there's a guy who's very well known on Twitter for BSV called Satoshi. And he started, as far as I know, he started this, or at least he was one of the bigger proponents of it in the early days, this Pew Pew. All you have to do is add your Handcash logo, Handcash handle, which is like a $ in your name. So it's very similar to Cash App, which is one of the things I love about it, the fact that it's accessible and similar to a centralized solution that's out there, so people can recognize the idea that it's like a payment provider or a payment gateway. And so that's what got me turned on to this idea of like being able to send very small transactions to a large group of people. And it took a while for it to sink into me that, like, why does he keep on sending these little microtransaction out? So surely people don't care about getting 0.01 of a BSV, or of a dollar. But then I realized what he's actually doing is he's building up a modern day mailing list, but without email addresses, but handles instead. So at any one time, he's building up a mailing list of people that he can go into this app and he can put a note on there, and all of a sudden he's spent, like, say you've got 3,000 people, you're spending $30 to reach out to 3,000 people and send them a little note, and that could be a URL to a project or something like that. Very, very powerful, very, very cheap, very, very fast, pretty much instantaneous. And that's one of the cool things about this Pew Pew piece of code. And it works directly with Handcash, which is just like Cash App. If you know about Cash App, it's just like Cash App, but for the BSV, BitcoinSV blockchain, which is, if you think of Bitcoin, it's the same kind of code base, but they supported different changes, the original protocol as they put it, and it has bigger, massive block sizes compared to the smaller block sizes, which take a long time on Bitcoin compared to BSV. In fact, recently there's been some like massive gigabyte blocks, like 1-2 gigabit gigabyte blocks, which has got them really excited in that ecosystem. A lot of people saying world records, but like, you know, like nobody's tracking the world records. Like Guinness Book of Records isn't tracking like the fastest blockchain block, as far as I know. Maybe somebody should get that actually going so it is official. But I started receiving all these payments this weekend, and the reason why is I have my Handcash handle inside my profile on Twitter, and also I'm connected to a lot of these projects indirectly. You know, I've supported a tweet by retweets on genuine retweets, which I'll show you in a minute. But I was really surprised that I started getting all these like little payments through, and I couldn't work out what the heck there was until I found a hashtag that says PewFest 2021. So what a bunch of people had done, and I think it was this guy Diego originally who started it. I could be wrong there. It could be a bunch of other people that did it as well. But they spent the weekend just sending out, using the actual, you know, core of BitcoinSV and the low fees and this program to be able to do it. So this program I found on a listing for BSV devs, and there's a link through to the GitHub, and it's a BitcoinSV transactions shooter, and there is actually a front end to it if you're not comfortable with GitHub stuff. That looks like this. And so the idea is that once you've started sending money to people, they become like listed in your in this program, in the web app, in the PayPistol web app. So right now I could send a small transaction or a big transaction to any of these people that I select in my list, or I can do a multi-pew, which basically means that I can send certain amounts of money to a group of people. So the more people I have in this, the more I can instantaneously just send to one after one after one after another. And so if I wanted to build up this group of people to 1,000 or 3,000, 10,000 people, I could at a random notice just send them a little transaction which ends up inside of your payments like this. If I click on one, you can see that somebody's just put a note here, pew pew in my sleep. That was part of the festival. So people were just receiving little micro transactions of money, which got me thinking about how blockchains that stream bits of money to you are going to be prevalent for audience attention, real-time attention. Imagine that you are not necessarily working inside of these projects, but you are engaged in some way, or you're reactionary in some way. The notion of being a node or a worker in one of these decentralized places and having streamed little micro nano transactions that gradually get more and more after you've been initially pulled in, then you could work on a project and then somebody recognizes that you've made it, and then you get another transaction automatically, like from, I don't know, some kind of created smart contract. There's transactions that are just like sent, you know, direct from one person to another, and I'm getting excited about the idea that just because I had it in my profile, I'm able to receive some funds from just random people sending out little snippets of value across the network. And obviously the impact of this is it raises awareness for BSV, but also it increases the amount of transaction records that are happening on the blockchain, which if you're tracking all these different blockchains, you know, people are going to start to see the trends of like, oh, why is this blockchain suddenly doing all these transactions? And so that gets the attention of people who are on existing other blockchains looking at other chains to see what they're doing on it. So I thought it was really, really powerful. It definitely piqued my interest, and it got me thinking about the issues that we have today because of the pandemic. For instance, opera or audience development in general. I come from a foot in the water of audience development in Europe. I did a bunch of events in Iceland and various other places as a videographer, in terms of like, you know, a virtual set. People would come off stage and they would sit with me, and we would do a live stream in parallel to the actual physical event. And so this interests me greatly because for the last 18 months we've not been able to do physical events. So being able to do micropayments, being able to link that to an NFT, a bit like that Tory guy, maybe sell an NFT that you get automatically by buying a physical ticket to the opera, and then you all become invested in the opera because each one of those different event dates has a different ticket for each date. You automatically get an NFT. Maybe you could build some kind of smart contract so that everybody who acted on stage is basically taking a cut of the overall takings of that particular event, or maybe something special happened on a particular night and therefore that NFT is more valuable than another one. It just started to get me really excited about how you can factor in blockchain to audience development. And I'm starting to see, because of this methodology, using this kind of like transaction shooter, as they call it, for the BSV blockchain, how you could use it to do amplification of events, physical events, but also anything that you wanted to get out into the world without having to dig deep into AdSense or Facebook or any of those campaign managers to do business promotion. And there's other things out there already. There's things like Tonic Pow, which is a platform that you can advertise things through, or you can promote or advertise or even integrate it into your whole like marketing strategy. These people have put like fairly big budgets. So CoinGeek here's got like a $2,000 budget, and you get 15 cents for sharing this, and then it automatically detects using a series of different algorithms to check that you're actually, you know, a legit person, not just a little bot. And once they've proven that that link is good, the blockchain, they automatically send you BSV to your blockchain account, because it's all linked into your profile. So very, very powerful, incredibly quick, and there's no like waiting. It's not like AdSense, you have to wait 30 days or anything like that. It's instant, which is massive and disruptive, and I don't think people have really realized that yet. So yeah, you can send it like this multi-pew to thousands of people at a time. And so there's various people using this already, and one of the most popular ones that I've started to see, especially in the last week, is genuine retweets. So you can actually go in and create a link to one of your tweet URLs, and you can start to put a little budget in of how many retweets and likes are you looking to target. And the more you do that, the more it increases the budget. So for instance, if you wanted to spend $40, you're looking for 100 retweets and likes. And then what happens is that the genuine retweets guys, they put that out as a tweet, and it also appears in this earn prize money. So if you go onto this and retweet it, then you get, I think it's like 0.10 cents back or 15 cents back for doing that. So there's two methods here. You can create your own like marketing campaign, or you can earn from other people's marketing campaigns that are out there. And I've seen this used really effectively in the last week to advertise things on Tonic Pow and promote things to do with the Pew Fest. If you do look for the hashtag PewFest 2021, you can see now that a bunch of this, you know, a bunch of people are like now feeding back about what their input from the last weekend. And there's they've even taken it to the next level by creating an NFT, an invitation tweet, which was the whole start of it for this massive party. This guy Diego was trying to reach 100k transactions in the shortest time possible. So what they did is they were looking for a minimum of 1k hand cash handles, and I've obviously got that. You can see it at the bottom there. I bought one of these earlier on for like 0.64 cents, already 84. In fact, if we do a refresh, I wonder if it's actually gone up anymore. And another interesting angle for this as well. So he's created an NFT if you were part of it. And then the smart thing about this, being smart with marketing, is that on Relica, which is like an Instagram clone, but running on the BSV blockchain, he's also put it on there that if you tweet, if you drop your Relay X handle into this, he will actually send you one directly from Relay X. So in my wallet, you can see I've actually got two of them, because I ended up buying one because I didn't see it in time, and then he sent me another one automatically. So he's created a moment in time with the NFT for, you know, raising awareness of like 1,000 people's handles. And what happens with that is that if you've got 1,000 people replying to it, that's lots of TX records going back and forth on the BSV blockchain, and other people retweeting it, people getting paid out from. So you end up with this almost like circular economy of this stuff just going around and around and around, which is dead exciting. So what does this mean for centralized industries, right? So going quickly back, because these kind of link together for me. in terms of inclusion, because the cost is so low and it's so easy to spin up a project or build something and then promote it using these tools, that you can do this incredibly cost effectively. You're removing the randomness of like the algorithm of, say, YouTube AdSense or Facebook, because when you give them a budget of say $50 or $100, they have certain algorithmic approaches to how they do the advertising for you. And really, if you're not trained in those things, you can spend a lot of money on pretty shitty results. Whereas something like this is very, very tuned to a very niche audience. People in this community, in the BSV community, will obviously retweet and share things that are beneficial to the BSV network. But also I'm finding that things that push things a little further on and show how these blockchains can be utilized, that also resonates as well. So it's got me thinking that, you know, a guy who pushes 1 million copies of an NFT album in under a minute, in 57 seconds, is incredibly disruptive to the recording industry of America, the RIAA. And in fact, I would not be surprised if we see a like decentralized version of a recording industry, if we see a different industry explode from this, because all of the money that you would normally need, say like 100k to get an artist out there for, you know, promotion, Twitter, articles, influencer stuff, physical stock, recording a video, all of that is being disrupted in less than a minute. The guys made an album, created some cover art, made the audio tracks, listed it on OpenSea, paid a bit of ETH to mint it, and then put it out there, used his usual channels. Obviously he's got a lot of followers on Instagram, so he's just taken his social media that he's built up over the last couple of years and added this blockchain component to it. Very exciting because I love anything that's disruptive. I don't care what blockchain it's on. I'm not a maximalist. I just use what works, what's relevant, what's low cost that I can control for my audience that I'm looking for. So yeah, that's really it. I just wanted to go over those two things, that if you're not looking at these things, and if you're looking to advertise either a product or a course or a brand, or you're just trying to build a little metaverse community up, these tools, you know, you don't have to be fully invested and know how these blockchains operate or who's part of these things. I can go into here now, I can buy $100 worth of BSV, or I can go into Ethereum and buy $100 worth of Ethereum, go onto OpenSea or go onto TonicPow, and I can create a campaign and I can advertise it through Twitter. I can do it through generating retweets. I can, you know, put a tweet with add your handle to this, put it through TonicPow to get the extra reach of it, and then put it through genuine retweets to actually promote the TonicPow link as well. So there's I think I should probably make a course how you step through and do all of those bits, but you can do it incredibly efficiently. I think the minimum campaign is maybe $5 or $10, probably $10 on TonicPow. But I think this is the new way of making the mailing list. The email mailing list for me, in terms of click-through rate, I bet the click-through rate of using Twitter, using social media rather than email addresses and hoping that somebody's gonna, your mailer is interesting enough for me to click on those links, I think those days are slowly done. Because if I have a tool that I can send for a small transaction fee of 0.01 cents, it's incredibly efficient, incredibly effective way of me reaching 10,000 people in real time, because it pops up on their phone. I've had a payment from here. I click on the note, that takes me to a tweet. If I'm interested in a tweet, I'm going to click through. If I'm not, but I want to promote it because it helps the network, I can retweet it, and then I get some money back because I supported the network. It's like, I love that kind of circle economy of the blockchain. Anyway, that's enough ranting for me today. Definitely go and check out these things. They're incredibly powerful, and I'll catch up with you soon. Take care. Bye.